Soul Sistah series, In Pursuit of a Pleasure-Filled Life. So when we had originally started developing the series around the idea of pleasure, one of the things that came up, is sexual pleasure and sensual pleasure. Of course, that's one of the things that I think of when I think of pleasure, but I don't know if it's like, for me, the thing that immediately comes up when I think of pleasure. I think that if I'm talking about spending time with a partner, there are a lot of things that give me pleasure before the actual act of intercourse,
See, so when I think of pleasure, I think about full engagement of your five senses. I think about anything that allows you to be really present and engaged in your five senses. Mm-hmm. So when people talk about sex, everybody want to say, people talk about sex, I think what is so pleasurable about it is because if you're doing it right, your senses are fully engaged. There is nothing else happening. You are feeling what you're feeling. Right. You're tasting what you're tasting. You're smelling what you're smelling. It's just...
You're present.
You're fully present. You are fully present. So when I think about pleasure, I think about how many opportunities you get to be fully present. And whenever you're fully present, then that's a really pleasurable moment. So I'm thinking about Idris and I laying down in the park at like 11 o'clock at night looking at the stars and the moon and just being like, I had a moment laying down in the grass. It's 11 o'clock. We're laying next to each other. We're both looking up in awe at the universe. And I was like fully present. I could smell the grass. I could smell his cologne. I could feel the ground under me. I could see the stars shooting across. I could hear, because there were other couples in the park, but then the wind would blow. And I had this moment where we just stopped talking and we were both just kind of looking and our heads were next to each other. And I was like, this could last all night.
Right.
This pleasure right here.
And I feel like it's almost like time stopping, because you're not thinking about like, oh, what's going to happen next, or
what just happened,
or is this like something else, or how good is this on a scale of 1 to 10 based on what you're just fully there, fully feeling, tasting, smelling, touching, and that is just time.
That makes me think about when I go to a really great dance class. As soon as you said that, I just thought, oh, when does time stop? Either when I'm at a party and that song hits and you just like, oh, you just feel it. You ain't thinking. You're not thinking about anything, but like a really good dance class. Once you, especially at the end, once you learn the choreography, because these classes do have choreography, and then you're just doing it, and you're just doing it. Right. You're just like, bass is going, you're just doing it.
I don't know, whatever it is in the body that just remembers without having to like think about it.
It's like when I'm with the white women in the dance class and my song come on and I do my own step and they be like, she's messing it up. I be like, what? I don't know what you talking about, girl. What you talking about, girl? Oh, I'm messing up your dance step. You ain't got no rhythm. My bad. So when I think about pleasure, I think it's easier for people to think about sex because they're not thinking about what about sex is making it so blissful. But my hypothesis is the thing that it is that you're engaging your senses.
Right.
Your mind is no longer engaged in the now. Right. It is all about like your felt sense, your body,
and that can happen with anything. Music,
laying in the park,
eating. I mean, that's happened to me where time stops where I eat something and I'm just like, okay, everything. I just tasted everywhere. And I remember when that happens. Like, I have a list of things that I've eaten and memories, like sense memories of things that I've eaten that just kind of like changed my life in that moment. And it's just because you're fully like, everything is just like,
what's so funny?
On, stop, taste this.
You're just such a foodie. But what's so funny is I just think about, this is going to sound crazy, whatever, but I think about when we were talking earlier about feminism and womanism and women raising children or cleaning the house and cooking. And when you said that, it just made me think about how much pleasure I get from feeding someone something and then really loving it. Like how that fills me up. And just the pleasure that you can get from
making something for somebody that they really love, and making it, when you're making it thinking about, oh, they're gonna like this, they're gonna love this, oh, this is gonna be putting something extra in it for them because they're gonna just love this. Like, yeah,
it's so amazing because this idea of like pleasure, and I think this is where women struggle, right? Pleasure of giving and receiving. And so maybe that's another reason why people think about sex. Women, that's who we've been asking.
Yeah.
I've asked some men and see what they say. But why they think about sex, because it may be some of the very few times where we actually get to receive.
Yeah.
Whew. Because you know we're always giving.
Full disclosure, I'm very selfish.
She's very good at receiving.
I'm like,
oh yes, of course. Very, very good at just receiving. Of course, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Whereas some of us have struggled a little bit more with receiving. But I think, for me, pleasure is all about the engaging of the five senses in order to be present in the now. Living right now, which I'm so back and forth because sometimes that can feel very dangerous and sometimes it can feel very liberating.
The receiving?
Being present.
How would it be dangerous?
I think it can be dangerous. I think it can be seen as dangerous when you're afraid to be present. Right? Because you're afraid to be present, or you're apprehensive about being present because you're thinking about what being present in this moment will do to the future.
Right.
Ooh. Yeah, so you're like, oh, I don't know, because what will this mean in the future? So, for example, I wrote this book, The Best Part of the Fruit, and I remember in part of that in a chapter about dating, I said, there's no rules, right? This whole idea of don't kiss someone on the first date, don't sleep with someone on the first date, don't do all of these things on the first date. There's no rules because it's really about you and that person in that moment, right? How do you feel? Where is your comfort level?
Right. What do you want?
What do you want, right? And then because the other thing is where is that wanting coming from? So I feel like people have to do their work. You got to do your work. You got to do your work. You got to figure out. You got to get through all of your childhood shit. You got to get through all of your past hurt shit. You got to really start to kind of get down into who you are and figure out what it is you want, what is that you desire. And I think when you do your work, when you do that work, you're more apt to be able to live in the present because you can trust yourself. You can trust what you're feeling. Mm-hmm. You can trust what you want.
Right. And you can know that it's you and not
something
external
else.
Conditioning guiding you and telling you this is what you should want, especially with women.
Right.
Yeah.
So once you start doing your work and you get into your intuition and you start getting into your felt self and you start you start living in your inner goddess, no one can tell you you should or shouldn't kiss someone on the first date, or you should or shouldn't sleep with someone on the first date, or you have to wait 90 days or 900 days. Right. Because you are in you, and if you're really in you, who you attract or who you pulling towards you will hopefully be measuring, will be giving that same kind of light back. So I think that it can be scary when you're not fully.
And I think the real sadness to me is that the idea of being fully present might to some people feel like, oh, no, that's wrong.
Yeah.
That's wrong.
Yeah. Because when you're fully present, you're not thinking.
I think the whole Victorian age was around that. It's just like, oh, no, don't feel pleasure. Like, if you want to taste something that tastes good, taste it for a minute, but then don't overindulge.
You said overindulging. And immediately when you said overindulging, and I got what you were saying, I just thought to myself, there is no such thing as overindulging. Because for me, I know this is going to end.
Absolutely.
Right? You can only eat but so much pie, right? The pie is going to end, or your stomach is going to get full. Right. This moment is going to end eventually, so you don't have to worry about overindulging in it.
Absolutely. But those who are scared to be present, they feel like they have to cut. This has to stop before what? Before what? Before what? This has to stop before Before what?
Before I melt into this moment of pleasure.
Like before you disintegrate, before you dissolve. And I'm just like, I'm all about the dissolve. Like I'm just like, I need to dissolve because like you said, I know I'm gonna come back.
Yeah.
I know I'm gonna come back together. What I want is to kind of just take a moment to completely just feel everything and be, because that can happen. Like I notice, okay, so for instance, if you have a crowd of people up against each other in a train trying to go someplace that they don't want to go, energy is completely effed up.
Right.
If you have people in a park with space, with kids, and people who want to be there or just there to enjoy, the energy is so different because they're like, oh, I want to relax, I want to let go, I want to enjoy and laugh, and they're not trying to see the end of it, you know? It's just like, nobody's just like, oh God, I can't wait till this is over. You know, it's just like,
can't wait till
man, I
all the
can't believe I have to
done.
go back to work. Like, this was so great. This is amazing. And then maybe there are those people who are, you know, quote unquote, overly like about, I can't allow myself to enjoy because.
I call those people pleasure deniers.
Right.
I have my theory. Right? I'm going to trademark this. I have my theory. 3 types of people in the world: pleasure deniers, pleasure delayers, pleasure pursuers. Pleasure deniers are always trying to stop something.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the ones who are kind of caught up in the past. They're just, they can't indulge in present pleasure because of something that holds them back from the past. Pleasure delayers are people who are always thinking about the future. So my best example is, oh, I can do this when I weigh this amount. I can do this when I finish doing this. I can do this when I finish doing that. Those are pleasure delayers. Like they know pleasure is out there, but they haven't earned it yet. They haven't earned the right to indulge in pleasure.
I feel like they haven't.
And then you have the pleasure pursuers. In some instances, not all. Don't let her fool you. What? Don't be pointing at me. Well, yeah, I am a pleasure pursuer.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah. In some instances, but not all the time. But a pleasure pursuer is kind of like, in every moment or at every opportunity, how can I find the pleasure? So for me, that is, how do I engage my 5 senses in this moment, in this opportunity? How can I dissolve into this? How can I expand into this? Damn, this is juicy because it's making me think about some things. But, you know, when you talked about food, it's like, how can I make something or how, you know, eat something that is just so delicious that it stops me from thinking? You know, we're supposed to be reading The Power of Now, but her copy ain't got there yet. I'm up to like 80% in my Kindle.
Amazon.
But, you know, he often talks about like getting rid of the mind. And I understand it more and more every time I go, right? Every time I read something else, I understand it more and more. In the beginning, I was like, what? How are you going to get rid of your mind?
Guess what? That was your mind thinking that.
That was your mind like, no, don't get rid of me. But you can find pleasure and bliss and joy once you get rid of the mind and get inside of your felt sense, your being, you know? So, you know, I was going to ask you, like, what do you do for pleasure, right? And I'm thinking of my own answer, like, what do I do to pursue pleasure? The first thing that comes to, what do you do to pursue pleasure? What's the first thing that comes to your mind?
I go outside.
Get into nature.
I go outside.
Yeah. I've evolved in that place too. Yeah, going outside. First thing I think of when I think of pleasure is touch. Girl, touch. Just human touch, just being able to touch. Right? So when I think of pleasure, I think of the senses. I have this favorite oil that I stole from my girlfriend's house. And now I gotta use it sparingly because it's almost done, but I don't know what the oil is. Like I literally, while she wasn't looking, she was burning it and I poured some in a water bottle and was like, this shit, it smells good! So now I use it very, very sparingly. I've always been sensitive to smells, but now I'm so open to more smells.
I love smells.
And smells.
I have been stopped by smell. I've been stopped by smells many times. Like I'll just be like, something happens.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it is, but it makes me believe in the unseen.
Absolutely.
Because I'm just like, how can a smell
take you somewhere?
Just take you somewhere, or just pull you. Like, how can that happen? I've literally been in stores just been like, what is that? Like, where did I go?
I'm so sorry, but that just makes me think about.
And then I became more appreciative of the people who actually put scents together. Because
yeah.
you know, like, either it was a year ago or 2 years ago when perfume branding started to expose regular people like us to notes.
Yeah.
And they would say, a note of this, a middle note of that. And I was just like, oh yes, I like the middle note of like freesia and like the top note of lilies of the valley or something like that. Right. It just makes you feel like you're just more like informed about the chemistry, like the alchemy of like scent and how it is actually engineered to bring certain things up. It's just amazing.
Touch has always been big to me. It's always. I think back through my life, touching has always been big. What's the other one? Sight, sound, touch. I want to leave taste for last. Smell. So taste and smell, I've always been very sensitive to smells. Smells have always given me headaches and different things, but as I've gotten older, I know that I like natural scents. I like things that feel like the earth made them. Yeah. Other than cut grass. I hate the way that shit smell. But everything else, like I want things that came from the earth. I can really handle it. And taste, my taste buds has changed over the last couple of years. I used to always say I don't have a palate, like I can't taste anything.
I know, you would always say that to me. And
it was true.
Frankly, I didn't understand.
Whatever, because you're a foodie. But now, my taste buds have evolved, and I can taste things a little bit more. Like I had I shared a bottle of wine with Uber Idris, and I could taste the pepper. I was like, oh, I can taste the pepper. There's pepper in this. Oh shit, my taste buds are evolving. So now I can taste things I never tasted before, or I couldn't discern before.
Yeah.
So I think when I think of pleasure, it always it of course, yes, sex comes into it, but it's like any time that I'm fully present, and when I'm fully present is usually when I'm engaging my senses.
Soul Sistah series, in pursuit of a pleasure-filled life, though shit keeps on happening. Okay, so you know the story about when I saw Idris at Sunday sermon like a few years ago, and I was just like, okay, was I married then? Well, it doesn't matter.
You weren't married then.
Relationship.
No. You were with your husband.
But I was just, and he was sitting down on the grass next to some chick. And me and Cece were just trying to front, playing like all of a sudden we were in high school and shit, like, oh, let's just get over there where we can see him in this line sight, or let's get closer. And I was just like, I just know that I can't even think about, one, if he stands up, two, if he talks. I don't know what's gonna happen. Because so little would be so much.
Well,
like little would just.
That was so what much happened with David Banner yesterday. I was like,
well,
David Banner,
David Banner was gonna be there. I was just like, oh, you're gonna see David Banner? Like, he's physically going to be there? Like, you're gonna see him in the flesh? You mean?
I was like, please don't walk near me. Just don't walk near me, because I don't know what I might just like combust in the sanctuary.
Right.